welcome. You're watching the morning news in the English language with me, Williams Amoh Hour, on the Dan Broadcasting System Television. An extraordinary conference grouping members of the Organization for the Conservation of Wild Fauna in Africa has opened here in Douala. Participants are brainstorming on ways in reducing the rampant exploitation of forest and wildlife with member states. Philip Sote has that report.
Unregulated and often illegal extraction of timber in the Central African sub-region has put wildlife, local people and economies in real danger. At the root cause of these fast disappearing resources is the unrelenting timber demand from around the world, with China, Europe and the United States importing vast quantities of wood products. Powerful incentives for the continued extraction of wood from what is commonly known as the Congo Basin will eventually lead to extinction of species like this. Reason for the expert meeting for the conservation of wild fauna in Africa, an initiative that was started in 1981 but stayed dormant until recently when member countries met and gave Cameroon the task of revamping the organization. A revamped structure that should hopefully scale back the alarming rate of destruction of forest resources, especially the endangered species.
There is serious threat on wildlife, especially on big mammals. Outside the case of elephants, elephant has become a problem if we don't really put more effort. Such an organization is very, very, very welcome to fight, because this organization is focused on anti-poaching, transboundary anti-poaching strategies, to put up strategies to fight against poaching.
It is a transborder issue, thus making it a concerted fight, especially for the conservation of the animal species that work freely.
We need a combined strategy from various Central African countries. Animals don't have boundaries. They don't have passport. They move from one country to the other. And our legislations need to really be harmonized within these countries to tackle the problem globally.
It is therefore hoped that participants at the meeting will come up with strategies for better education and infrastructure, employment opportunities, improved public services for the forest population as a way of scaling back the galloping rate of wild fauna destruction.
The first edition of the Crossroads for Trades and Job Market in the Littoral region has begun. The 3 days come together, organized by the Littoral Regional Delegation of Employment and Vocational Training, will run from the 24th to the 26th of October 2017. Mange Venasis was part of the opening ceremony. This is what he brought back.
Since 2011, the Ministry of Employment and Vocational Training has made the Crossroads of Trades and Job Market an annual meeting for the orientation and the discovery of trades and the professional integration of young people. Until last year, it took place only in Yaoundé. This first edition of the Crossroads of Trades and Job Market of the Littoral region, that will run from the 24th to the 26th of October 2017, will not only participate in perpetuating this initiative, but also makes the pole of employment in the territorialization of the national employment policy.
It was done just at the central level, I think during more than 3 years today, but for it to have an impact on the field, it will be good that it should be decentralized, deconcentrated, and that is what has been done. So this is the first edition, and we hope that it will start make its proof on the field while waiting for maybe the next editions.
The ambition of this first edition in the littoral region ties with the wish of the President of the Republic, President Paul Biya, to develop the human capacity as an indispensable asset of his emergent plan. It is an opportunity for students in the region to exchange with a number of experts during these 3 days. Experts they will meet in the labour market in the near future. Sitting in for the governor of the littoral region during this opening ceremony, the Secretary General in the Littoral Governor's Office, Thierry Kinon Nana, reiterated the stakes of these 3 days come together.
It will provide many information geared to the people who are looking for jobs, but not only to them. It will also provide people who have abilities that can intervene in certain sector, which some promoters have invested, but they don't have the necessary input, because when they stay maybe where they are in their office, and maybe they go through a certain form of recruitment, they will not have the necessary people with the abilities. So this is why this type of joint of events, of activities have been put in place.
He called on participants to devote enough attention on the discussions to be held throughout the period and to raise as many worries as they have for the experts to address. As for the trade show, there is an exhibition of stands offering a lot of useful information and many opportunities for meetings and exchanges with training organizations of companies and institutions. Authorities present took time to visit these stands to have a first-hand information from promoters or their representatives. This opening ceremony was symbolized with the cutting of the ribbon and immortalized with a group picture.
The first ever forum for small and medium-sized enterprises in Cameroon has taken place at the GICAM head office here in Douala. Presided at by Minister Laurence Etundingwa, the forum stands to better the existence of small and medium-sized enterprises in Cameroon for more protected, efficient and competitive SMEs is the theme that guides this maiden edition. Details in the following report. Convinced that the development of Cameroon's economy cannot be done without the indispensable contribution of small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, the Inter-Employers Group of Cameroon, GICAM, has decided to bring its own stone to the building of SMEs by organizing the first Cameroonian SMEs Forum this October 24 at the headquarters in Douala. The one-day working session groups experts, entrepreneurs, syndicates and startups.
At our level in Cameroon particularly, banks are very supportive for SME to be financed, but it's quite difficult because the environment is tough. SME needs governance. So if they were to improve their governance, they'll have more banks coming to them to assist them to finance, because the only question a banker needs you to respond is, how do you repay the loan he's giving you? And if you have the response to that question, then the bank will go with you.
The forum are giving me more information about our business environment, because there is a lot of difficulties. There is a lot of corruption too. When I started my enterprise, yes, I faced on lack of information.
This forum will help us make a proposal on particular problem that we face on our day-to-day activities.
For more protected, efficient and competitive SMEs. This is the theme for this maiden forum for Cameroonian SMEs.
The problem we have now with our SMEs is that compared to those who are coming from other continents or other countries, we are less competitive, and we have to reinforce the capacities of our enterprise, technically speaking, technologically speaking, and human resources considered. So we think that this forum is a nice occasion for entrepreneurs to know that they have to lead themselves somewhere to acquire this competitiveness from institutions that the government built for them.
On the basis of factual diagnosis and exchanges, the forum is expected to lead to the definition of a catalogue of proposals and the establishment of a platform for concerted actions with public authorities and developmental partners. All these will be geared towards the promotion of small and medium-sized enterprises in Cameroon. Some 21 health and developmental projects from the 10 regions of Cameroon have been subvented by the U.S. government to ameliorate the standard of living in rural areas. The ceremony took place in the presence of the diplomatic representative of the U.S. Embassy in Cameroon. Details with our Center Regional Correspondent, Baongo Francis in Yaoundé.
Efforts and innovations of some Cameroonians who have demonstrated commitment and dedication to find solutions to resolve critical health and development challenges have been recognized by the United States of America. This was through the ceremony at the U.S. Embassy in Yaoundé this Monday, where 21 associations and common initiative groups from the 10 regions of the country received a global sum of 287 million francs CFA, which represents the United States Health and Development Challenge Pilot Program grant. While presiding the occasion, the U.S. Embassy's chargé d'affaires, Matthew Smith, explained that the overall goal of this intervention is to support the laudable efforts which the government of Cameroon and the civil society organizations are already deploying to improve primary health care for all in the country. Concretely, through this subvention, health centers and medical facilities, especially in rural areas, will be better equipped, mother-to-child HIV infection reduced, and assure the upgrade of sanitary conditions of underprivileged populations. Beneficiaries of the grant expressed total joy and explained the impact these finance projects shall have on the chosen communities.
The title of our project is Improving Water, Hygiene and Sanitation in Non-Camp Refugees. There are camped refugees and non-camp refugees. So we have about 3,000 non-camp refugees who will benefit from this project. The hard component of the project is to construct 5 eco-toilets. They are households without toilets, mostly those households that are situated beside public places, whereby open-air defecation is a rampant action. So with the construction of the 5 eco-toilets, it will reduce open-air defecation and, of course, reduce mortality, child mortality, because when there's open-air defecation, there's transmission of diseases, there's soft component, which is going to base on sensitization and advocacy. You know, there's a big gap between knowledge and practice. There are people who know that open-air defecation is bad, but they don't practice it. So at the soft of the project, we shall move into classrooms, organize focus group discussions in communities to explain and underscore the need for proper hygiene and sanitation in the community.
Through this act, the United States of America decided once again to express in deeds the perfect communion it enjoys with Cameroon. And just last year, the U.S. held investment in the country topped 34.5 billion francs CFA, not including its 46 billion francs CFA in the Global Fund, where the U.S. is the leading contributor.
A training workshop for journalists and soldiers has taken place in Amoh. They gathered and have been trained how to better communicate and report on news concerning the ongoing Boko Haram crisis. Amadou Jalobuba has that report.
Soldiers involved in the fight against the notorious terrorist group Boko Haram in the far north region badly need the collaboration of the local population. For that to happen, there is a need to effectively communicate with the inhabitants, especially the men in uniform and the journalists covering happenings within the locality. This is said to be so because it is only through comprehensive communication that the action of the defense forces, which is geared towards protecting the population and their property, can be better understood and appreciated by the people who are suffering enormously. A training workshop to that effect for journalists and some elements of the defense forces was organized in Marwa recently.
We learned how to emphasize our action dealing with propaganda and how to optimize our efforts working with the population.
Hope is that the lessons learned here will be applied.
In news out of Cameroon, we talk politics, where political crisis in Kenya keeps intensifying one day to the rerun of the presidential elections. However, the people of Kenya are expected to go to the polls tomorrow, Thursday, and vote the one who would rule them. We have courtesy that report the VOA.
It has been a prolonged electoral season in Kenya, with the opposition now saying it will not participate in this month's rerun polls after the nullification of the August presidential election.
We cannot go to an election with an electoral commission where the chairman is hostage to some few commissioners. That's why today we are changing our clarion call from no reforms, no elections, so there are no elections in October.
But President Uhuru Kenyatta is urging people to come out and vote. He says Kenya cannot live in what he called a permanent state of elections.
Our economy needs to move on, and we must rid this nation of that uncertainty. And it is indeed my appeal to every Kenyan: exercise your democratic right on the 26th of October.
But Nairobi-based political analyst Michael Agwanda argues the Electoral Commission, known as the IEBC, is unable to conduct free and fair elections.
IEBC, that is supposed to be an arbiter in this 26th presidential election, is more divided and is no longer independent as their name goes. And for that reason, we do not expect free and fair election on the 26th of October 2017.
Agwanda is not the only Kenyan expressing concerns. Last week, IEBC Commissioner Rosalind Akombe fled the country and announced her resignation, saying the election as planned would not be credible, that some election workers were vulnerable to security concerns, and that the country is not ready to proceed with the polls as scheduled. IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati has demanded politicians start working together or else his departure could be next. Embattled CEO Ezra Chiloba is now taking 3 weeks of leave, marking his absence from the election. Busia County opposition supporter Mofat Rotich says he would accept a Kenyatta win if the election is credible.
Because Uhuru is not a Ugandan or a Tanzanian, he's a Kenyan. If he wins, he will be our president. But the only problem we have is free and fair elections. And there is no, if you can see right now, they are talking of peace. And there cannot be peace without justice.
But each person's definition of justice is different, raising the concern the polls may not be peaceful. For now, Kenyans are just hoping for an amicable solution as they wait for the next developments in this ongoing political saga. Jill Craig, VOA News, Nairobi.
Thanks for watching. Take the next rendezvous tomorrow, same time, same station. From this end, have a splendid day.